Why does Jerry Kennedy only do his laundry after it rains? Because old habits die hard. Despite living in a densely populated area of a medium-sized city, for most of his life the only water available to Jerry was that which he could capture rolling through his downspouts and into his rain barrels. Therefore, his laundry cycle was closely tied to rainfall events. It wasn't until Jerry's 54th year that he saw a drop of municipal water pass through his home's faucet. Jerry's story is that of a social justice failure, rooted deeply in race, socioeconomic status, and industrial irresponsibility. Jerry lives in Zanesville, Ohio's Coal Run neighborhood, which, true to its name, was once a coal mining hub in the Appalachian foothills. The city of Zanesville, at its peak in 1950, had over 40,000 people, but has since shrunk to 25,000. In the 1950s, the construction of Interstate 70 divided affluent areas of Zanesville from poorer neighborhoods such as Coal Run. While the thriving mining activity brought economic prosperity to the region, it also threatened the area's groundwater supply. Due to the area's industrial past, residual seeping of sulfur into most groundwater sources causes any well water to have a red hue. Drinking it is inadvisable, even decades after the peak of mining activity in the region. The municipal water supply is withdrawn from the Muskingum River, which, unlike the groundwater, is relatively clean and free of contaminants. This ensures that the bulk of Zanesville's residents have access to clean, safe water. The problem for residents of Coal Run is that they had no connection to the municipal water supply. In fact, the city built a water main in 1954 that ended just short of the neighborhood, but introduced service to nearby communities. Water lines zigzag throughout the county, but are conspicuously absent from Coal Run. Over the next half-century, residents of Coal Run went to extreme inconveniences to obtain water. Some directly drove themselves in their old milk jugs to the water treatment plant to buy water. Others used backyard cisterns to hold captured rainwater and melted snow. This method of water storage is quite dangerous, as pathogens, insects, and vermin can easily contaminate cisterns. Coal Run resident Rodney Hale describes a repulsive discovery in his cistern.
My uncle come by right after we moved there. He said, that water tastes like it's got a dead rat in it. And I moved the cistern top, the lid, and it had 3 of them floating in there.
Under these circumstances, the water used by Coal Run residents was certainly not free of danger. As residents of the neighborhood struggled to obtain this basic human necessity, they sat by as Zanesville extended water lines to new commercial and residential developments. Inhabitants of Coal Run, a predominantly black and poor community, became increasingly frustrated as the city became desensitized to their persistent cries for help. For resident Cynthia Hairston, the final straw came in 1999 when she saw her new white neighbors watering their lawn. After talking to them, Hairston discovered that the city had agreed to extend water pipelines to their home, which was located at the edge of the neighborhood and nearest to the municipal water main that had fallen just short of Coal Run when it was constructed in 1954. She and other neighbors became even more persistent, attending city council meetings and lobbying government officials. In a graphic intimidation tactic to counter her activism, one morning Hairston found a severed pig's head sitting in her driveway. Seemingly unfazed, Hairston joined other residents in 2002 to file a complaint with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission and the Fair Housing Advocates Association. The latter's executive director describes his initial reaction upon hearing the complaint.
I initially got the complaint, and I was like, this is something from the 1940s or 50s. It can't possibly be so blatant.
Upon hearing that complaints had been filed with statewide agencies, Zanesville scrambled to lay pipeline, and within a year, municipal water was flowing through all faucets of Coal Run. For the first time in half a century, Coal Run had fulfilled the accessibility criterion of the Fair Water Framework. However, the legal storm was just beginning. 3 years later, 67 residents sued the city of Zanesville and the East Muskingum Water Authority, demanding reparations for the half-century of injustice that they had previously endured. The Washington, D.C.-based civil rights law firm Relman, Dane, and Colfax represented the residents in the case Kennedy v. City of Zanesville. The plaintiffs claimed unlawful discrimination under the Fair Housing Act, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Simply stated, their argument was that water stopped where black people started. This map from the trial demonstrates that explicitly. The city argued that it was under no obligation to provide water to Coal Run since the neighborhood lay just outside the city limits. However, Zanesville had extended service to adjacent, predominantly white communities that also lay outside the city limits. Zanesville's lawyers also argued that Coal Run residents did not follow proper protocol when requesting service. However, this argument was undermined by documentation from a number of town hall meetings over the last decades. Frederick Martin, whose testimony contradicted the defense's claim, summarizes what he said during the trial.
I just know that they was trying to get water out there way before my mom passed away, which has been about 25 years ago now. But way before then, she signed for water, and she paid her deposit to get water and paid for a tap, which was a sign that water was right around the corner. To us, that's what it seemed like.
The legal dust settled in the summer of 2008 with a verdict in favor of the residents. The city of Zanesville was ordered to make an $11 million payout to be distributed among residents based upon how long their family had lived in Coal Run. Some families received as much as $300,000. For 50 years, water in the Coal Run neighborhood was certainly not fair. Contamination of cisterns and reservoirs that contained captured rain made the water supply dangerous. Pathogenic bacteria thrive in these environments, making illness a serious risk. A lack of municipal piping into the community made water inaccessible. Residents went to extreme measures to acquire this basic necessity. Through the lens of intelligence, time spent driving to the water treatment facility or maintaining rain barrels was time not spent going to work or school. Technology and personnel were certainly available to extend the water supply, yet the municipality elected not to do it. This may have saved the city money initially, but the eventual payment of legal fees made this approach financially unwise. This financial burden was ultimately passed along to the city taxpayers. The health risks associated with contamination, along with the inconvenience of this practice, were primarily borne by an already disadvantaged population, a clear violation of social justice principles. In this situation, rewards were scarce. No one seemed to ultimately benefit from the lack of water in Coal Run, but many people suffered. The residents' legal victory did not result in any celebratory block party in Coal Run. There were no parades in the streets. "You don't celebrate something that was supposed to be all along," remarked one individual. However, residents of this disadvantaged Rust Belt community likely can't help but feel a sense of catharsis when they turn the handles on their faucets. Cynthia Hairston concludes with her perspective.
Say it's the little things in life that makes a person happy, but that's probably one of my happiest moments in my life was making sure this area had water.